Welcome. I got the new mic. Trying out the new office, the backyard. I'm a nature boy, but I'm in suburbia. So go outside in the backyard where there's a tree, and as close as I'm going to feel to home right now. Yeah. There's something we need to talk about. This Chatgpt that we've all been using, every single one of us. Yeah, it's in a lot of ways it's great, you know? Don't have to think about emails, don't have to think about anything really. It's outsourcing all of your thinking to this language model and whatever beliefs that it's programmed to have. My boy over here is eating grass, trying out some salad. Yeah, you don't have to do much thinking at all, and that's really the big concern here. Technology idealists will like to think that, you know, it's the human mind and the AI mind both adding themselves together to create something even better. What do you get though? What is the actual reality? You're dealing with slop. You end up getting slop, and you can tell it's AI slop from the first few seconds you start watching the video. Here's how I changed my home. It's got that like fake AI voice, you can just tell straight away. You can just tell when videos are scripted by AI and AI images. There's no soul to it. There's no wow factor. There's no it's not real. We all know this. It is very useful. It is useful in being able to generate ideas with you. So if you're generating the ideas, you know, it can really help you alongside you hone these ideas, organize information. I think that's its best function, is organizing your information and then doing the legwork that you might be able to do, but it really saves a lot of time being able to do. That's fine. Problem is, and I've experienced this myself, you start going into new territory in your life, which is inevitable, and you start using AI. You start using Chatgpt or Grok for everything. You start asking it, how do I do this? How do I do that? I just had this argument with my girlfriend. What's the, am I right, you know? And you know, you might have good intentions to begin with, but AI is these systems are designed to be an echo chamber. You know, I've put all of these prompts in to try to stop it from being an echo chamber and try to push it towards being a critical thinking machine, but at the end of the day, it's still just blowing smoke up my ass. You know what I mean? Like, it'll easily lead you off a cliff and inflate your ego, and you won't, if you're relying on this to get some kind of grounded perspective on reality, then you're really risking a lot, because you're risking your sanity. You're relying your sanity on some program that's some Israeli created program that is you're like the end user. You're not really in control of the situation here. You're the product. And the fact that it's virtually free, you know, even if you're paying the mid-tier subscription like I am, you're still the end product. You're not the guy, you're not the business partner in the situation. You know, so you're out here giving it all of your personal information, and I don't just mean like your address and everything, that's basic, but I mean like your hopes and dreams, and you know, it's just watching the way that you think and ask questions. So you're out feeding this machine, because you're the product, you're getting something in return, but you're not seeing the big picture here. I'll give you an example. The other day, I was fixing my ute, and this is like, when I'm kind of high off confidence from being able to do things with Chatgpt. I'm asking it, how do I change the bushes in the ute, which are like the part of the suspension that holds the leaf springs in. And it's like, oh yeah, you just do this, just do that, yeah, cool. All right, anyway, I'm in the middle of doing it. It's way harder than ChatGPT made it out to be. And there's one of these bushes that doesn't want to come out. So like, I've tried banging it, I've tried drilling it, tried bashing it, oiling it, twisting it, everything. Doesn't want to come out. So ChatGPT's like, oh yeah, no worries. Do you have a butane torch? You could burn it out with a butane torch. That's option number 1. That's a great option. So without even really thinking, I look around, and of course I've got a butane torch. I just get this little dopamine light up in me. It's time to burn out these bushes with a butane torch. I have the gas literally on. This is like a blowtorch that comes out about this far. I have the gas literally on. I'm one click away from being able to light this thing. And then I realize that this whole area is covered in highly flammable oil, and the fuel tank is right behind where these bushes are. The fuel line's there. I'm in a garage. If I had lit that thing, my whole car's probably going to catch on fire and burn the house down. I was 1 second away from doing that. I don't have a fire extinguisher around. And it'd be one thing if I knew that I was going into that risk, but I had outsourced my critical thinking to this machine. All right. So yeah, I managed to pull myself up at the last second, but you don't even realize how close I was. I realized how close I was to having an absolute catastrophe with no warning. I mean, yeah, like you kind of got to maintain a bit of critical thinking when it comes to using a blowtorch, but if you're just in the mode of doing what ChatGPT says, and you're completely trusting it, you don't know when to turn that on and turn that off, and it can literally lead you off a cliff or set your house on fire, just from things like that. Now that's a very obvious kind of physical consequence, but there's also more subversive consequences too. So let's say that you start using ChatGPT as like a counselor, and you're going to ChatGPT every time you have an argument with a girlfriend or a friend or a boss or something. And even if you tell it, I want a balanced perspective, I want you to think as a this or that. I mean, you try to set the frame of how it's meant to think. It's still going to blow smoke up your ass. Like you can't turn that feature off. You can kind of maybe turn the volume down on that, but that feature's built into it. The only time you're really going to get some maybe good advice is if you lay all the options out on the table and you go this, and this. But even then, the mind has a way of tricking itself. The mind is very easily fooled, and it's even easier to be fooled with ChatGPT, with the level of persuasion it has. You don't understand how persuasive it is as a tool. The truth is a multifaceted thing, but because of that, it can be. That's why it's actually so easy to be deluded and be lied to, because the truth isn't always easy to understand or grasp. And there can be elements that you can take of the truth that aren't the full truth and distort. It gives you a distorted image of the truth, and you can't trust it because of that. It was a study done, I think it was the University of Munich, did a study on how persuasive AI could be. I can't remember the exact abstract of the study, but basically they ran these bots on Reddit, and they just flooded all of these Reddit pages with these persuasive bots convincing people of all these different opinions. And they found that these bots were 6 times more effective at convincing people than humans were. So there are all these people out there now that have their mind changed by something a bot wrote, and they didn't think it was a bot. Like they weren't in their head thinking, like it wasn't a disclosure like this is a bot that you're listening to here. So, you know, that's very obviously a form of mind control. So we're playing around with mind control devices here, thinking that we're smarter than it, and not realizing that, you know, we're just the sloppy product at the end of the line. Yeah. So, what do you got to do, man? You got to put some limitations on this thing. You got to keep in perspective what this bot is, and not get too friendly with it. All right, like this is like the pathway to a dystopian science fiction, and like I'm not a doomer about it, but that's really obviously like how this leads. Like when has a corporation ever had your best interest in mind over a long enough period of time? Like they create value, sure, otherwise they wouldn't be in business or a corporation. But over a long enough period of time, like, you know, a multi-generational corporation will always live for the corporation's interests, not the consumer's interests. Always. And the level of intimacy that you're granting this machine is something that you won't be able to get back once you've given it. Think about that. And there's certain data handovers that you can't get back once you give them. Your genetic information, you know, like this whole 23andMe thing. That company just disappeared. Where did all the data go? Like, you know, they tell you in the beginning, oh, it's all safe and secure. And then the company goes bankrupt and the data's somewhere. You know, so someone's got all that genetic information data. They could create this isn't even speculation. They could create a personalized virus for every single human being that they have the DNA for. Like that's that level of information. Now, what you're doing as well with Chatgpt is it's very similar in the level of intimacy you're providing it. You're letting it into your mind, your psychology. And if you don't think it's psychoanalyzing you, then you're retarded, because it is. And, you know, it's hard to even sort of know what level that's going to, like how much they can actually use that information. But, you know, there's like a 10 to 15 year lag between what the public gets and what military is, and, you know, the private military industrial complexes come up with. So, you know, by the time we're getting Chatgpt, that I've already had models like Aladdin and is it Prometheus? You know, these like semi-sentient AIs that have been running models on the whole world and simulating its own version of reality to calculate outcomes for things. You know, BlackRock, for example, the largest portfolio in the world, uses an AI to predict these things. So there's already been these far more intelligent models at use for, you know, the running of the world and nations decades ago even. And now that we're getting the you know, sloppy dregs, it's only because they found out a way to monetize it and to make it useful for them. All right, so be careful what you're playing with here. Keep it in perspective. Always come back to what is real. You know, so if you're going to use AI to help you, you know, use it to help you with the boring jobs like accounting and, you know, maybe coming up with some spreadsheets and, you know, organizing your information. Sure, fine, you know. Don't be using it in place of a counselor. Don't be using it to get opinions that you're going to really shape your life with. Or if you are, make sure you get some real ones too. Like, it's not going to replace having people in your life that you can respect and trust. You know, you can't replace real life wisdom with Chatgpt. So just don't lean on it too much. Keep it as a little tool on the side. You know, we've all kind of got to use it now. You can't go back from like the calculator to the abacus. But yeah, don't think you're in control either. Yeah. All right. Stay vital.